Hey everyone, Joe Lards with Business Credit Workshop, and today we're talking about step number 3 in my 7-part series of how to get business lines of credit and business credit cards without having to show financials, without having to walk into a bank. So step number 3 is to network with local banks and credit unions. If you haven't watched step number 1 or step number 2, you can go ahead and do that now as part of this playlist, part of the series. But today we're on step number 3. So networking with local banks and credit unions. What do I mean by that? I love working with local banks and credit unions. Why? There's actually a few reasons. Number one, these banks actually have their own in-house underwriting. And you could build a relationship with your banker, with, for example, the vice president of business lending. And they can advocate for your approval with that bank. When you work with a big national large bank, you don't necessarily have someone that can knock on the door of the underwriter and kind of help push your application through. Right? This is not going to happen with a large national bank. Doesn't mean I don't get money from large national banks. It just means I love networking with local community banks and credit unions. They really do take an interest in their local community. I've had lots of banks come to my office and not just bring me fun stuff and free swag and stuff like that, but actually share with me some programs that you're not going to find online. Programs that they don't even have a brochure about because it's a small bank. So it really is between you and that vice president of business lending or the branch manager or whoever it is to build that relationship and build a long-term profitable relationship, because they'll be able to do things for you that no other banks can do. So how do we find these local banks? Well, there's a few different ways, right? One of them, which is just, you might have thought about this before, is driving around town, you see a bank that you'd never really heard of, just write that name down, write that bank down, and then call them later and see if they offer any business credit cards, checking accounts, lines of credit, or even for the real estate investors out there, refinances, cash out refinances, things like that. So the other way that you can network with local community banks and credit unions is there's a list of the top banks that lend to small business owners. It's the top SBA lender list. Now it comes out in every state just about every year. The SBA, the Small Business Administration, they rank and they list all the top lending banks in your state. That list is golden. It's like shortcutting the whole process, because they are someone else, the Small Business Administration, right? They're there for small businesses. They already telling you, hey, here's the banks that are lending in your area, right? So you start with that list. That list could be 50, it could be 100, it could be more, it could be less in your state. But you want to start with that list and you want to call them. You want to visit them. You want to meet with them. You want to network with them. You want to find out what programs they offer. You don't necessarily need to apply for business credit at this step. We want to get to step 7 first. Okay, we're only in step 3. But you want to open up a business checking account if you feel led to with that institution. It's okay if you have a checking account with more than one bank, by the way. It's a common question that gets asked. But you want to also build rapport with that lender. Find out what programs they offer and try to get them off script. Getting someone off script means maybe you grab a cup of coffee with them, or perhaps you meet with them at your office. Try to build a professional friendship with the banker. Build that trust. If they know you, like you, trust you, they're going to share with you things that other bankers aren't going to share with you. It doesn't mean they have a magic wand and they can make anything happen, right? You still have to qualify for the lines of credit, the loans, or the credit cards. But it really, really helps having an advocate at the bank that you can count on to advocate for your approval. In fact, some of the credit unions that we work with, they actually have lending committees, and they get together once a month and they actually will discuss your loan package. Right, so it's a little bit of an older school process, but I really like it because, the national banks, if you don't fit inside of their box, right, then you're going to get declined. Whereas the local community bank and credit union, you might apply for this much and they might come back and offer you, half of that, or they might make you a counter offer. They're really, in general, will try to do something to build that relationship with you, to get your foot in the door, and then you can grow the relationship from there. When I call local community banks and credit unions, and when our office does that, we make about 60 to 100 phone calls per day. We've been doing it for years. We have thousands and thousands of banks in our database. What we do is we actually would just ask them, hey, I found you online or I found you here or there. Tell me, do you offer business checking accounts, lines of credit, things like that for businesses? And then they'll either get you the right point of contact, like a loan officer or the VP of lending, or they'll be able to tell you right there on the spot. And when they answer your questions, you can say, fantastic, tell me, do you offer business credit cards? Do you offer lines of credit? They say, yes, we do. And then you can ask them what the requirements are. And there's really 3 types of requirements. We have full doc, that's the traditional. They want 2 years tax returns, financials, balance sheet, like everything, okay? Then we have low doc. Low doc is usually just 1 year tax return. It's generally a light application. And then we have no doc. So we have full doc, low doc, no doc. No doc is really great. It's hard to find. You're only going to find it about 5% of the banks that you call will do no doc. No doc means no tax returns are required, no bank statements are required, and it's a much easier, it's like usually a 1 or 2 page application. Those are obviously the golden banks, right? Those are the ones, that's why we make so many calls per day, is to find those local community banks and credit unions that offer no doc, unsecured business credit cards and business lines of credit. So some banks though, when you ask them what the requirements are, and they might say, 2 years tax returns, personal financial statement, things like that, you can say, okay, great. Do you have any no doc or low doc programs? And they'll go, oh, well, yeah, if you apply for under $25,000 or under $50,000, we can do the application as a no doc or as a low doc. So make sure you ask that follow-up question. The last tip I'll share with you is when you're networking with banks and you're calling banks, find out if they offer their own business credit card or if it's offered through a third party. Because if it's offered through a third party, then it's probably through like a bank called like Elan Financial. And if you get a business credit card from one bank that uses the same underwriter as another bank, you're not going to be able to keep getting more and more business credit, right? You're capped out. But when you find that one bank offers their own business credit card, another bank offers their own business credit card, it's in-house, not through a third party, another one, you'll literally be able to find as much banks as you could possibly want to get business credit cards from. And that is a very straightforward way to clear hundreds of thousands of dollars in business credit through business credit cards by asking that extra question. So I hope you got that tip written down. If you like that tip, please hit the thumbs up button, And if you have any questions, just comment below. I'll be happy to answer them. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you'll be notified when the next video comes out. Hit the notification bell so that you'll know when that next video comes out. This is video number 3 of a 7-part series. So if you want to see all 7 steps and you want to download my free report, I would love to share it with you. You can go to businesscreditworkshop.net. That's businesscreditworkshop.net. You download my free report. It contains all 7 steps of obtaining business credit financing. Now, stay tuned because next video, we're going to talk about setting up your business credit profiles.